What is going on YouTube? It is Mr. Game Squatch here. Today we're going to be doing the teardown of this awesome 35th anniversary Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch that I had gotten the other day. And if you had seen yesterday's video, then you knew this was coming. If not, then go ahead and check out that video real quick and come right on back so that we can experience this together. And I gotta say, I'm in love with this. I've been playing this for the past couple days since this came out on November 13th. It's now the 15th of this recording. For you guys, it'll be the 16th of me posting it. And I gotta say, I love it, honestly. Like, just the fact that it's backlit screen and very nice and vibrant and colorful, I love it, honestly. And with the simple game of Ball and Super Mario Brothers and the Lost Levels ones, they're really good games to play, especially for like if you want to play a nice NES handheld game. They're pretty easy to hack as well, but that's not what we're doing today because I'm not very good at hacking. I'm sure I've seen other people hack these and also do, you know, emulations or run ROMs, I should say, on this to play other NES games as well. But for what it is with just playing Ball and the two Mario games, I am actually in love with this. But without further ado, we're going to be tearing this down, I guess, or just at least opening up and seeing the inside of this. As you can see, we have a Type-C charger. This is the little speaker hole and all. So what you're going to need to start off here is, it's hard to see there, but you're going to need some tri-wings. You're going to need a tri-wing screwdriver. And I'm always trying to be careful with this because I have pretty bad luck with stripping screws for some reason, whether they're new or old, and I hate it, but it just happens. So I just want to be extra careful with this because it would kind of suck to strip this. Let's turn that off for now. I'm going to try and make this relatively short and sweet for you guys, but also try to be as informative as I can. And let's keep all of our screws in order here. Try to keep this nice and organized. I know majority of this video is just going to be me screwing and unscrewing, which I find is pretty boring, and I'm sorry that I don't really have the editing software just yet to be able to just skip through these parts, but if you'll bear through it with me, then we'll get through this together. Now I'm going to actually use a pry tool because I don't have any nails at the moment, but pretty much all you're going to do is kind of just run your nail or a pry tool along the edge here, and it kind of unclicks from itself, just like on the back here as well. Just a light little click, and that's all. There's nothing attached to the back here. A couple of strips to keep the battery in place, which I kind of find useless because they do have this in pretty solid. As we can see, it's a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, and it's only a 525 milliamp hour with 3.7 volt, 525 milliamp hour, which is okay. It's a little smaller than the average Game Boy Advance SP. Smaller than a DS and stuff like that, but for what it's putting out as far as like the tiny speaker right here, which is more or less just like a vibrator motor than anything else actually, because I mean it is an actual speaker that probably plays more through the plastic here. Yeah, you don't want to lose that. That's the power switch that just decided to you know, fall out the side here, which doesn't really stay very secure, but you don't want to lose that. But anyway, yes, the speaker plays more through the plastic here, but there is this sort of empty open air here, open hole, I guess, to give it more air room to escape. And then you got two little ribbon cables here that control the screen. And so we're very gently going to lift the little tabs. If we're going to focus, lift the little tab there. Lift the little tab there, and they just pop right out, nice and easy. And that's all you do to disconnect your screen. And then just like jerry rig everything says the battery pops out like a little Lego out of its little socket there. And that'll be it. And now, again, if you have fingernails, it would be easy enough for you to do, but for me, I've only got pry tools because it's actually pretty hard to play this with long nails. So that's why I actually had cut my nails. So now you see that was a little bit easier taking that out, but when I was first doing this, I was really scared of bending the battery because as you can see all that stickiness right there, that's all the glue. And it was very heavy down this end here. Yeah. So you want to be careful with that because you never want to bend the batteries, otherwise you will literally kill this thing's life. The battery life of this thing. Now let's move our screws out of the way so that we can try and put our screws back down in the correct position. The general rule is that you want to put the screws back where they were before, just in case they are different lengths or anything, which I don't think they have with this, but it's a general good rule of thumb. And as you can see, we have two, and they're all Phillips head by the way. We have two up at the top, two at the Type-C charging port with the little water damage indicator. And then we have three right where the A and B buttons are, and then four where the D-pad is. And that will be all your buttons. So let's get those out real quick. Now mind you, this whole thing is plastic as well. So you want to definitely be careful of bending or maybe cracking or even just tightening your screws too much. You do not want to do that. That would be no bueno. Look at us getting multilinguistical over here. So that's those two for the battery port, and then the two for the top, which you'll see in a moment how this whole thing here is like its own bracket that holds the motherboard in place when you go to put it back, along with these little pegs that line up to be able to put this thing back correctly. Now let's get our little A and B button back screws here. Do that. And do that. Nope, don't want to lose that. And then let's get our D-pad out. Okay. And let's move the battery out of the way before that falls on the ground. That there. Take that. And we'll put that right there. That's what I usually like to do. Some people have like a little dish of like what screws go where and all. I kind of like to put them where they were sitting on the board so that I know where they correspond and all that. And with that, we have our board and little frame here free, and like I said, the whole thing comes apart. This is your screen, the membranes for your buttons and all. And then as you can see here, the only thing attaching the motherboard to this plastic, sort of like a frame, holster, whatever you want to call it, is by the wires of the speakers here, of the speaker here. Just soldered on there. So that's not too bad. I do like that. And like I said, you can try and keep it all together, which is probably good. But then you get the front view of the speaker here, which like I said, it looks like an empty cavern here that actually does play through. This is actually just a tiny membrane on the side, as you can see the missing light there. It's a very thin, looks like almost a mesh, or it looks like actually just looks like a piece of tape, really. Just looks like a piece of tape over it, now that you can see it in the light. So it does play through that hole, but also still kind of reverberates, because you can see on the shell here, that little indent would fit within this hole, so that actually kind of narrows it down, trying to make it sound bigger than it actually is. So, and then obviously you can see all the contacts of where the buttons and the membranes all meet up. So we'll set that there. And then you can just take this off. There's your black little D-pad there. For some reason they went Oh, you know what? Okay, this is actually pretty neat. And a lot of times they'll do the A and B buttons as actual plastic pieces, but because they're doing it as just solid membranes, which is a little bit better to feel, and you also don't have to worry about the letters rubbing off when you don't have any letters on there. That all just comes off by itself there. And then looks like the same thing with the pause, set, time, and game buttons as well up top here. Those can come off easily. Actually, no, let's set those apart right there. Do that and that. Put the D-pad right with it. And then here we have the actual screen left. And it looks like it's pretty solid in there. As far as like whether it's, you know, you could probably give a little twist or something to get it out, but the screen is definitely very fragile. Like if you put any kind of pressure on this, it will definitely show, like an old 90s computer screen where, like, you know, you touch it and it, like, you could see the liquid of it kind of like moving, the plastic flexing. So I really don't want to take this out, but it does. It looks like it would just pop right out, but again, I don't want to do that just because I don't want to ruin this. Feel free to do that yourselves if you do decide to take yours apart after watching this, which is, yeah, that's completely on you. I'm not encouraging it at all. I'm just saying for reference. So here, I'll put that back in. D-pad. And if I didn't horribly screw this up, then everything should just plug right back in and work perfectly fine. Which it should, because I haven't really done anything to really risk any catastrophic failure yet. Okay, we'll get that back there. Make sure everything is sitting perfectly fine. Alright, now let's start getting our screws back in here. Let's start with this top one here. Now the only downside to not having any nails is not being able to really hold on to the screws. Yep, see, like that. It didn't snap, it just skipped. So that means it's in there tight enough to where it's not loose, but it's not going to break away. Let's try, and there we go. See, yeah, like I said, it's not easy when you don't have even short nails. And it is freaking storming outside, man. Okay, let's get our Type-C charger secured now. Also helps to have magnetic tipped screwdrivers that do help with putting this together. I want to hold off on putting the ribbon cables in just for a moment. I know people probably be like, why didn't you put the screen ribbon cables back in? I'll get to it, you guys. I'll get to it. Don't worry. Trying to make sure I follow up. If a good little a little rule of thumb for people if you're beginning with this, with taking things apart and all that, and you're not sure about screwing things in, good rule of thumb is to just go counterclockwise until you feel a little, like almost like a little skip or a little click. That tells you that the screw is now in line with the factory threads, which is when the factory is screwing in the screws into the plastic initially, creating the threads for it to be able to stay together. And so if you ever feel like you're not, you know, in securely or correctly and it feels weird, just back out of it until you can hear that little click, and then you will be golden. Now let's try and get this little bugger back in there. Okay, and then all that's left now is the D-pad. Let's put the screws back in. Yep, that's alright. Okay. as we have Star Trek playing on upstairs with my parents. As long as YouTube doesn't freaking copyright on me for that for some reason. I doubt they will, but you know what I mean. You never know with YouTube anymore. You get people that get demonetized for swearing on their channels, even though there's a YouTube Kids, so there really shouldn't be any kids on this channel, or you know, on YouTube in general, that know they're going to be listening to bad things. But of course people get demonetized for it anyway. So now we just stick our battery the correct way back in, which is, you know, you want to line it up with that notch there, and probably just get it plugged in back where it was. And the only way you can tell if you're putting it in wrong or not is, let's see if it's easier to show with the tweezers. So you see how on the top here it has these like little gold contacts, you can see it, but then on the bottom you don't really see that, because the plastic is supposed to line up with the little notches of the contacts on here. So, like a little Lego, it clicks right back into place, and that will do for that. And if you really would like to try and keep your wires all together and organized, you can put it behind the little notch where it was before. It's completely up to you if you feel you need to do that, just so that it keeps it all nice and neat and organized when you close this up. Just tuck it a little bit behind that little notch there. And then before we forget, which I actually almost did, we will put our ribbon cables back into place. These are relatively easy to put back into place because they're so small and they're already conformed to just being there. So it's not like there's going to be very much difference, and then that is nice and secure. Now we got the main ribbon cable, which again, okay, I'll give you a comparison. This versus say a Switch and their ribbon cables, this is night and day. This is absolutely just night and freaking day. Oh, that's because you pull that back that way. And that will do for that. That does not come out. We are nice and secure. As you can see, like I said, when I took this up, this latch goes up towards the battery and lifts up away like that. And when you're securing it, just pull it back towards the ribbon itself. Well, if it wants to. Pull it back towards the ribbon itself and locks down. And that'll do it for that one. And this one's the opposite. This one, when you want to release it, you pull it up towards the ribbon and then back down towards the battery. And that is how you know you locked it in. I just want to make sure the ribbon is all the way up in there. Okay. There we go. We're all good. We are locked in there, General. And the real test now is, there we go. We are back to normal. Now obviously I don't think it is 12:02 because this has only been 19 minutes so far. No, it is 6:27. So we will do our time set time, which is 6:27 for me. There we go. And I also like that too as well, like when it's daytime or nighttime or even dusk, when it's starting to go down, it changes it. That is freaking awesome. I love it. Alright, so now we will put my phone back over to the side here. We will put our power button right back where she belongs there. And we can close up our back, give it a nice little click, click. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I could put in the last 4 screws in the back there, but for the sake of time, since this is now almost 20 minutes, about to turn 20 minutes now, for the sake of time I won't do it. I hope you guys found this very informative, and that I hope you guys are able to score yourselves a Game & Watch, Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch, before the freaking scalpers get to it and try and resell them on Marketplace, which I think is such a freaking scumbag move. I hate those people. I really do. So, try and score yourself one, maybe even try and hack it, mod it, whatever you want. I don't really care. It's probably easy to do, I just don't want to do it. And so I hope you guys stay safe, stay happy, and game on.